Hello, and welcome to History 101, Evolution of Western Civilization. I'm the instructor, Michael Crowder. Uh, Glad to have you all in class this summer session 3. So this is a very brief introduction to me, but also an introduction to the course. This is something you'll be seeing on Monday morning, July the 8th. So what I'm going to do is just give a brief, again, description of the course. I'm going to go over some elements of the syllabus. I will talk a little bit about the assignments, the topics that we'll cover, and finally, some course policies and procedures. So I first will introduce myself again, Dr. Michael Crowder. I work at Iona at the Institute for Thomas Paine Studies. Maybe you're familiar with it. So I may have seen you around campus, even though we have an online course this summer. You may see me around in the fall. Because this is an online course, we are not going to meet at all this semester in person, but I will say that if you happen to be on campus and desire to meet with me, I will be on campus 2 to 3 days per week if you are so inclined and happen to be on campus. Otherwise, there is no obligation for us to meet. So this is summer session 3, and it's, again, starting from the day that you're seeing this, which was Monday, July the 8th, through Thursday, August the 8th, and a final paper will be due on August 12th. So our primary mode of instruction will be through Blackboard, and I've set up the Blackboard page already, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. And our primary mode of communication will be via email. Now, all of this information is contained on the syllabus, but my email is mcrowder, my last name, at iona.edu. I also have a phone number for my office at Iona, which you can find on the syllabus as well, but it's going to be very unlikely that you will need to call me, so email will be the primary mode of communication. So the course description, which I'm not going to read word for word because it's on the syllabus, but I will just briefly paraphrase, is a topical progression of Western civilization, Western so-called history, which is a question that we'll ask ourselves: is what does it mean to say Western history, and what is Western civilization? But the topical progression will be chronological, and we're going to cover a very large sweep of time in a very small amount of time, which is to say we'll start with ancient Greece this week, the week of July 8th, and then transition through discussing the Roman Empire, the rise of European polities and kingdoms in the medieval period, and finally we'll discuss early modern and modern Europe, and we'll take it all the way through to the end of World War II in the 20th century and the Cold War, so-called, in the decades after the Second World War ended. And broadly speaking, we're going to focus on the development of Western institutions, ideologies, cultures, and a personal interest of mine, Western economies. So we'll focus quite a lot on trade connections that developed over the centuries between the ancient Greeks and eventually Romans, between Romans and societies eventually conquered in North Africa and the so-called Middle East. We'll talk about the growth of Europe, the interconnections and conflicts between European kingdoms. And finally, when we get to the early modern period, that's the 16th and 17th centuries, we'll talk about the growth of European empires, outside the European continent, most importantly in the Americas. And we'll trace the connections and the conflicts, throughout all of these periods. Flipping through the syllabus, which you can find on Blackboard. And that's a good introduction for me to discuss Blackboard. So the primary mode, the primary portal will be Blackboard that we'll use. And again, because this, as you know, is an online course, we will be using an online textbook. And I'd like to talk about that now. And if you're watching this and you're trying to figure out where we are in the syllabus, this is at the top of page 3, called Required Texts. There's one required text, and it is called Western Civilizations, Their History and Their Culture. It's the 19th edition, which is a combined one volume, which is chapters 1 through 29. It's published by W.W. Norton in 2018. So this is a traditional textbook that could be purchased several ways. What I'm going to ask you to do this semester is to purchase the ebook the electronic book, which works well on laptop and also works well on tablets, which I've tested, along with the e-textbook. Okay, and there is a link under the syllabus tab on Blackboard where you can see all of this information. You'll also need to purchase the Inquisitive Learning Tools, which are a series of online tools that I can use to provide assignments to you online, okay, since we aren't meeting in class. So both of these can be purchased together at the same time, and you can purchase them both through the W.W. Norton, the publisher, their website. As I just said, I've provided you a link on the Blackboard page under the syllabus tab. Under the syllabus tab on the left, there is an entry that says course textbook. It has the information. Authors Joshua Cole and Carol Symes, as the ISBN identification number, and the link that you can click there should take you right to the W.W. Norton homepage. At that point, you'll scroll down slightly and you'll see a View All Options button, which you'll click there. And at that point, you can purchase and then register your textbook. And it's important that you register your textbook through the W.W. Norton website and register your textbook with Inquisitive Learning Tools as well. It should cost about $60, which is a little bit more than I like, but the benefit is that this Inquisitive Learning Tools allows us to complete online assignments easily, and I think in a way that is learning friendly and I hope enjoyable. If you have any problems today, July the 8th, purchasing this textbook, I'd like you to email me as soon as you can. Again, my email is on the syllabus, but it's mcrowder@iona.edu. That way I can get in touch with the representative at the publisher and we can iron out any problems that there may be. So the course structure, again, is an online course. We won't meet in person, but there are two basic types of assignments that you'll complete every week for the 5 weeks that we are taking this course. There will be twice a week readings that I'm going to ask you to do in the textbook, Western Civilizations, and quizzes twice a week as well on particular chapters. And all of this is laid out in the course calendar, which we'll discuss in a little bit. That's the first kind of assignment. The second kind of assignment are lectures that I will give twice a week to be posted on Tuesday and Thursday morning, after which you will need to complete discussion response assignments. All of this will be done on Blackboard, in which you respond to some prompts that I give each lecture. And I'll just tell you that the purpose of the lectures that I'm going to record that you'll watch twice a week is not simply to regurgitate the material in the textbook, because that is not interesting to me or to you, but it is to expand upon some basic themes that are presented in each chapter depending on the particular time and place that's under discussion. And these discussion responses are meant to be not formal essays, although you will need to use formal academic prose when you write them, but they're meant to be assignments in which you can think creatively and interpretively about a particular time and place that is under discussion. Again, lectures will be posted every Tuesday and Thursday morning. My goal is to have them posted by 10 a.m. Every Tuesday and Thursday morning, and so that you'll have the entire rest of the day to watch the lectures, which will usually be from 30 to 45 minutes, and then we'll have plenty of time for you to complete the discussion response assignments. The assignments, again, quizzes and discussion responses, there will be 8 of each throughout the semester, and if you are looking along on the syllabus, I'm now at the bottom of page 3 and I'm going into page 4. Under course assignments on the syllabus, there are more extensive descriptions, especially of the discussion assignments and some grading criteria. But in effect, the quizzes are quizzes, but they are interactive quizzes in which you are given repeated opportunities to improve your score for each quiz. And when you sign up for the textbook, when you purchase, I should say, the textbook, and when you register it, one of the things I'm going to ask you to do today, July the 8th, is to poke around the textbook, get used to it. There's readings for tomorrow, July the 9th, but not for today, July the 8th. But just get used to the e-textbook, but also the inquisitive tools. Because these quizzes are going to be from 10 to 15 questions each quiz, and they're not straight, you either got it correct or you missed the question and therefore have lost the points. They're designed to build up so that you can improve your quiz score in the context of each quiz, which is, I think, an interesting way and I think a fair way to test you in an online course in which we're not meeting in person, in which our communication is limited primarily to email. As far as the discussion assignments go, these are going to be a couple of paragraphs each, 2 to 3, again, asking you to address themes that I have brought up in the video lectures, which you'll watch every Tuesday and Thursday. And as I said earlier, you're going to be asked to write informal academic prose, but you're going to be asked to think creatively about the prompts. And in brief, and you can read this at the bottom of page 3, you'll see that there's a brief schematic about grading for these. If you don't do a response, then you get an F for that response for not having completed it. Extremely brief, vague responses will get a grade of D. Responses which contribute somewhat, but do not fully engage with the prompt, C. Good faith efforts, which I define broadly and I'm charitable about. Good faith efforts to respond, sorry, I'm messing with my hair, respond and engage the prompts will get a B. And responses that engage the prompts and engage with them thoughtfully and at length will get an A. So moving to page 4, if you're looking along in the syllabus under the section called Grading Criteria, of the 8 quizzes, 6 will count towards the final grade. So that means I'll drop 2 quiz grades. So that means that each quiz will count technically 6.66% of the course grade, 6 divided by 40%. The online discussion responses will comprise 30% of the grade. There are 8 of them. And I don't drop discussion responses in part because I'm going to grade them individually, and I'll post all the grades on Blackboard after every assignment, either quiz or discussion response has been posted. But I also, at the end of the semester, will reserve the right and will take an opportunity to read all of the responses that you've given, all 8 of them, throughout the course of the summer session, and think about assigning a grade based on the totality, okay, of all 8 responses. So one of the reasons I like to do that personally is because if I see evidence of growth, okay, and quality over time, over the course of the 5-week semester, then I prefer, okay, to raise grades often, okay, a notch above what the raw number would say that they are. So that's something that I like to do at the end of the semester. So quizzes 40%, online discussion responses 30, that leaves another 30%, and that is a paper assignment that you will need to complete at the end of the semester. A 3 to 4 page double-spaced paper in which I will ask you to respond to broad course themes. More instructions on this paper will be given in the 3rd week of the semester by me, and I'll post them to Blackboard, and I will mention that I have via email and via one of the lectures that I've recorded for that week. So I don't want you to worry too much about that course paper now. In that course paper, as per Iona requirements, is the course signature assignment for this summer session, which requires ePortfolio, upload, and reflections. And if you have any questions about that, we can address those later in the semester. Moving, if you're reading along to page 5 of the course, you'll find a week by week, but also day by day explanation of the assignments. This is also posted on Blackboard under the calendar link. So if you click on that, you can see, which I am doing now, that every day, Monday through Thursday, every week we will complete assignments Monday through Thursday. You can find that all of the assignments are uploaded into Blackboard exactly as they are listed here on the syllabus. So just to read through it quickly, today you're going to watch me give a short instructor introduction, read through the syllabus, which I've tried to explain a little bit, but read through it, purchase course text, including the inquisitive textbook tools, and look through them and email me by the end of the day, meaning by the early evening, if you have any questions. But as I said earlier, email me as soon as possible if you find that you're having trouble purchasing the course text and or registering it, because that way I can help troubleshoot with the course publisher. You'll notice that for tomorrow, which is Tuesday, July 9th, I'm asking you to read 2 chapters of Western Civilizations, chapters 3 and 4. And I'll say that this ebook, Western Civilizations, is quite interactive. There are graphics and images. There are snippets of primary sources, which we'll talk about more, but sources that date from a particular time period under discussion, which can be snippets of books that were written at a moment, letters, poems. Primary sources can also be material objects, like, as you'll see in the early sections of this course in discussing ancient Greece and ancient Rome, things like statues, paintings, frescoes, paintings that were made on walls, and the like. So Tuesday, 7-9, after that short digression, I'm asking you to read chapters 3 and 4, which cover ancient Greece. Wednesday, 7-10, July the 10th, I'm going to ask you to read Western Civilizations, chapter 5, and then complete quiz number 1. So your first assignment will be due on Wednesday, July 10th. And I will say now, pause, to tell you that today, Monday, July the 8th, I will have figured out and ironed out all of the ways in which you can access the quizzes through Blackboard, which you'll need to. I will tell you that I couldn't get in touch with the W.W. Norton publisher people after Wednesday because of the July 4th weekend. So I've been promised that on today, Monday, I'll have all that figured out. So nothing for you to worry about. Your first quiz is on Wednesday the 10th. On Thursday, 7-11, you'll watch a lecture by me, which will discuss themes about ancient Rome, which you'll have read about in chapter 5, and you'll have to write discussion response 1. So I'll give you both verbally in a recorded lecture, but I'll also post to the discussion forum on Blackboard, which is on a tab, under a tab called Discussions. I will post written prompts that I'd like you all to address. And one thing I should mention about these discussion responses is that you'll be able to see each other's response because they're published under a discussion forum. So you can respond to each other if you like, and I encourage you to do that in a constructive way, or if you'd like to build on another classmate's response, you're more than welcome to. And sometimes I will jump on the discussion response board and give you my thoughts. And so moving into week 2, we get into the familiar pattern, which we will then use for the rest of the semester. On Monday, chapter readings and quiz number 2. On Tuesday, instructor lecture, discussion response 2. Wednesday, chapter readings and quizzes. Thursday, instructor lecture, discussion response, etc. So that will be the pattern that we will follow throughout the course of the semester. That's the same pattern for week 2, as it is for week 3, as it is for week 4, through week 5. So week 5 is the last week of this semester, and at the very end of that week, which is to say Wednesday, August the 7th, and Thursday, August the 8th, we will not have either a quiz or a response. On Wednesday, 8/8, I'm asking you to read a couple of chapters to wrap up and get us through the time period of the Cold War. On Thursday, the last day of class, August the 8th, I'm going to post a lecture which concludes the semester and the things that we've discussed. And I'll also talk a little bit more about the course paper that you'll need to complete. Now, as I said earlier, this course paper, which is 30% of the grade, and is your course signature assignment for the semester. I will have distributed instructions the third week of class, which is to say the week that begins with Monday, July 22nd. The very last lecture of the semester, I will explain a little bit more detail, expound on some of the ways in which I'm asking you to write the paper. You will need to email me the paper by Monday, August the 12th, so that I can read them and then calculate final grades and post them as soon as possible that week. And that's going to be the bulk of the semester. So it's going to be a fun semester, and we're going to be covering quite a lot of time. Okay, we'll be covering about 2,500 years of history in 5 weeks. So it's going to be action-packed, but it will be exciting. Just a few more notes that I want to make before we sign off, before I sign off for the day. And I'm looking on page 6 of the course syllabus. Just a couple of notes expanding upon general policies and procedures. So first, and this is in the middle of page 6, because this is an online course, typical policies concerning classroom behavior and etiquette don't apply since we're not meeting together in class. But consistent online attendance and participation are essential to do well in the class. So by online attendance, I mean reading the course textbook, okay, completing quizzes, watching course lectures, and completing discussion response assignments. And not to be too big brothery or scary, but I can track who is accessing these assignments, either the quizzes or the discussion responses, who is watching and who is not the course lectures that I post on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I will have a way of seeing, aside your simple completion of the assignments, I'll have a way of seeing who's participating and who's not. Finally, I expect that discussion responses, in which, as I mentioned, you will have an opportunity to respond to each other. While they are not formal essays, I do expect that they are written in academic prose without slang, in complete sentences, using proper grammar and punctuation, and that your responses respect academic and interpersonal standards of etiquette. So even though we're not meeting in a class and we're meeting virtually online through Blackboard, you will be expected to use proper etiquette in writing responses. Moving down to the bottom of page 6, cheating and plagiarism. These are, of course, significant and very important infractions, okay, that can have a serious impact on one's college career and their college transcript. There's an official statement of Iona College's plagiarism and academic dishonesty policies that I can distribute to you, but suffice it to say that in this class, for our specific purposes, there are really only 2 ways that there could be academic dishonesty violations, another way of saying this, of academic integrity. And one is on the quizzes, because the quizzes, because of their nature, which you'll see beginning this week, are designed to not purposefully to prevent cheating, but the way that they are designed and the way that the questions are interactive basically prevents cheating. So really the only way you can commit academic dishonesty is through plagiarism, which is taking, in a writing assignment, taking the words or the ideas of another person and passing them off as your own without attribution, without citing. Now, in the context of the discussion responses, this is less of a concern of mine, although I will say that if you feel the desire to copy something from the internet, which you should not do, and post it into a discussion response, that would constitute a violation of academic integrity. That would be plagiarism, is another way of putting that. But with the discussion responses, since I'm asking you to think creatively, and because they are true discussions, I want to hear your words. And in the discussion responses, I'm not necessarily going to grade grammar harshly. You will need to use proper grammar, but they are meant to be more freewheeling kinds of responses. So the real assignment in which we might, and I certainly hope this isn't true, see a violation of academic integrity is through the final paper assignment, which is, again, a 3 to 4 page double-spaced paper. What I'm going to do the 3rd week of class, when I distribute the instructions for the assignment, is I'm also going to talk a little bit more, and I'll do this in a video lecture, about avoiding plagiarism on writing assignments, and I'll also explain my method for asking you to use citations, okay, which is the method of citing other people's work and therefore avoiding plagiarism. So there will be more to come on plagiarism the 3rd week of class. I'm now looking at page 7, okay, of the syllabus. If you're following along, attendance. This is a boilerplate policy, but since we don't have classes that we all meet in, the traditional attendance policies do not apply. As I said earlier, just a couple of minutes ago, I have ways of tracking who is accessing the materials, who's watching the lectures. Certainly I'll see if you completed the assignments or not. So that's our version of saying that you must attend classes and participate. Email communication is especially, as you would guess, paramount for this class, since it is the only way that we're going to communicate with each other, unless you happen to be on campus and want to meet with me, which is fine, but I don't expect that to be the case. You're required to use your Iona email accounts. I'm using my Iona email account, and that's a school policy, which helps it makes it easier for me to keep track of responses and keep track of emails that's sent back and forth between us. So that means that for our purposes, every day you're going to need to check your Iona account. I'm going to post all of the assignments, as I mentioned, to Blackboard, and I will be constantly in email communication with you almost every day. So you'll need to check your Iona email every day so that you stay up to date, okay, with our communication and our assignments. So that's all I have to say for now. This is our introductory video lecture to this class. Just so you know, one of the things that I did skip over on the syllabus, which you are encouraged to read in detail, is page 2, the course student learning outcomes. They're quite lengthy, so I won't read them word for word, but we will be asked to think about big questions, especially in a class that is covers such a long, broad swath of time and so many different diverse groups of peoples and places and religions and social structures and economies. And the way that we're going to address this course learning outcome of big questions in a meaningful way will be on the final course paper, which again, you'll get more information about the third week of class. So otherwise, I think I'm done for now. We've got in at a little bit less than 30 minutes. So to wrap up this introductory lecture, read through the syllabus, as I have, okay, with you. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to email me. Again, it's on the, you'll receive an email from me this morning telling you that this lecture exists, that you're asked to watch. But it's mcrowder@iona.edu. And as I've said, and I can't stress this enough, this is very important for today, do click the link under the course textbook tab, which is under the syllabus tab, through to W.W. Norton's website so that you can purchase the textbook and the inquisitive tools. If you have any problems with that, please email me ASAP. I will be in email communication for the entire day. So it's very important that if you have any questions about the textbook or if there are problems, that I can help you troubleshoot them. As I said, do that today. By tomorrow, okay, July the 9th, you'll be asked to read sections of the textbook. If you find something that is that you don't understand about the textbook or you're confused about the way it's organized, email me on Tuesday. By Wednesday, you will have to take your first quiz. As I said, I am working on today, Monday, July the 8th, getting the inquisitive learning tools quizzes access through Blackboard. And I don't anticipate there being any problems, but on Wednesday you'll have to complete the first quiz, Thursday the first discussion response, and so forth. So that's it from me for today. If you, again, have any questions, any issues, then do not hesitate to email me. And I will sign off and say welcome to this summer session. Even though it's likely that we won't meet in person, I'm very much looking forward to instructing you, but also to learning more about you online through your work. And I'm very much looking forward. This is exciting, and I can't wait for the rest of the summer to begin. Okay, bye-bye.